This is the difference between a jail and a prison. When a judge sentences you, they let you choose between going to jail or to prison. But which one is better? First, comfort. The cells in a jail are designed to hold inmates for just a year or less. So the bed and the bathroom are poor quality and are usually dirty. But prison cells are meant for people serving many years or even life. And they have better quality beds and a window with natural light. Second, privacy. A prison usually has a lot more security guards than a jail, because in prison there are the most dangerous criminals on the planet. Also, there are security cameras recording 24 hours a day. Lastly, entertainment. In jail, you can't do anything while you sit bored waiting, but in prison there are soccer fields, a gym, and even a giant TV. If you're completely stuck in a water slide that's filling up with water, most people think that they should try to climb back up. But the surface is so slippery that climbing is nearly impossible. Instead, concentrate on staying calm. You can try to create an air pocket by lifting your head slightly. If the water keeps rising, use your hands to push yourself downward. If you can't move, hold your breath until the slide fills up completely with water. Once the pressure has equalized, try to float down through the water until you reach the end of the slide. Don't let anyone give you a free bracelet if you're traveling through Europe. They'll tie the bracelet very tightly so you can't take it off and demand a lot of money for it. If you're on the street and you step on a nail, don't pull it out even if it hurts a lot. Removing it will leave the wound open and you could bleed to death. If you're in the sea and the currents drag you forcefully, don't swim against the current. You'll use up all your energy and drown. Instead, let yourself drift and you'll float back to shore. Forget about starting a fire if you're lost in the jungle at night. The wild jungle tribes will find you and they'll eat you alive.
In 2011, a woman found her dog choking in the living room of her house. Frightened, she rushed the dog to the vet, where it was given anesthetics. After leaving the dog, she returned home, but soon received a worried call from the vet. He had found a human finger stuck in the dog's throat. The veterinarian insisted the woman call the police. When the officers arrived, they searched the whole house and mysteriously found a thief lying unconscious, hiding in the closet, who was missing a finger. A baby fell into a small pipe in the backyard of her home, becoming trapped more than 7 meters underground. For 56 agonizing hours, the rescue team worked tirelessly to bring her to safety. They dug a parallel tunnel alongside the pipe and a cross tunnel to reach her, overcoming obstacles like stones and rocks along the way. After 24 hours, the rescue team started hearing the little girl singing a Winnie the Pooh song, a sign that she was still alive. Finally, a rescue medic managed to squeeze through the narrow tunnel and bring the girl to the surface, and the dramatic rescue turned little Jessica into a worldwide symbol of hope.
If you're on a date and you forget the name of the girl, go to Starbucks and buy her a coffee. When they hand out the drink, they'll call her name out loud and you won't look ridiculous. If you touch a cactus and your hand gets full of spine, apply white glue all over your hand and wait for it to dry. That way you can peel off the glue and remove all the cactus spine. If you're about to sign a contract but there's a small smudge on the paper, don't sign it. It could be the fine print with ridiculous condition. If you go to the doctor and notice he's typing while you're talking, be careful and look at his screen. He's Googling what you're saying because he has no idea what's wrong with you. When Pinocchio lies, his nose starts to grow. But what would happen if he says, "My nose is gonna grow"? Look, if it doesn't grow, it means he's lying, and therefore his nose will grow. But if his nose grows, that means Pinocchio wasn't lying, and therefore his nose should have never grown. Do you think Pinocchio is lying? If you're dirty and sleep over at a friend's house, never use his toothbrush. As well as being gross, you could catch diseases from his saliva. If it's your third day with your new girlfriend, don't buy her an iPhone with your credit card. If she dumps you for another guy, you'll still be paying for the phone every month. If the police arrest you by mistake, don't insult the judge and shut your mouth. Anything you say can be used against you, and if you're innocent, they'll let you go. If you're using the airplane bathroom, do not flush the toilet while you're sitting down. The toilet generates a vacuum suction so strong that you could get stuck. If you show your house to your new girlfriend, don't try to hide your true passion. She might think you're a weirdo, but you might also find the love of your life. If you're sentenced to prison but the judge wants a lot of money in exchange for your freedom, don't ever pay him. It could be an honesty test to trick you into looking corrupt. If you get a fish hook stuck in your finger, don't try to pull it out by tugging it backward. Instead, push it through and pass the barb with some pliers. If you have to sleep in the cold snow, look for a dead animal and sleep inside its body. Even if it's disgusting, you won't die from the cold during the night. How to always win at Jenga. Never start from the bottom. It's very likely that your opponents will do the same, and you'll knock over the tower on your turn. Don't remove the center pieces at the beginning of the game either. You'll be left with no options in the final turn. If a player has a difficult piece, make them laugh so they move, or let out a loud scream. They'll jump in surprise. On the other hand, if the tower has a few pieces in the middle, look for a block just below the weak spot. It's the most stable point and will come out easily. Finally, if you have a tricky block, hold your breath and push instead of pulling. If you push steadily, all the pieces will come out. Have you ever wondered why the spoon on the McFlurry has that shape? Well, a lot of people think it's a secret straw, but just trying it once is enough to see it doesn't work. The real reason for that shape is actually quite clever. You see, McDonald's didn't want to clean their machines every time they made a McFlurry, so they created a spoon that works as a mixer. If you're lost in the ocean, don't drink seawater. You will vomit and dehydrate. If you're lost in the mountains, look for plants and hide in a cave. If you make a fire, you won't freeze during the night. If you're a loser and you get bullied, make friends with a hobo. Homeless people are crazy and he'll defend you from the bully. If you're in a place you don't know and no one's using their phone, don't be an idiot and hide your phone. You're in a dangerous neighborhood and thieves will rob you. If you're at a party and you feel like something has stung or pricked you, get out of there as fast as you can. Someone might have injected you with a drug to make you lose consciousness. If you're in the bathroom and you drop your phone into the toilet, don't try to put it in rice to absorb the water. It's a myth that doesn't work, and the rice could get stuck inside the phone. If you're the mother of a newborn baby, never take him to a public hospital. Other poor and sick patients might try to attack you out of jealousy. If you need to get an MRI, do not enter the room with metal objects. The machine has a super magnet that will attract them with massive force.
If you come across a wolf, shout and fight against it. Wolves only attack while in packs, and if you hit it, he'll get scared. If you're very sick, get up and go out to play sports. If you sweat a lot of liquid, you'll expel the virus from your body. If your father calls you on the phone, but he only wants to ask you for money, turn on airplane mode. He'll think you don't have coverage and will stop calling you. If you're lost on a completely desert island, but you're an idiot and don't know how to make fire, fish for raw fish and make sushi. First, remove all the bacteria and then eat it very carefully.
If you're lost on the street and you see a lot of kids asking for money, run away as fast as possible. It is an old trick used by criminals to steal from you. If you're an idiot and sleep with your phone, be careful. If it gets too hot, it will cause a big explosion and burn your house. If you have leeches sucking on your body, don't take them off. They'll vomit on the wound and you'll die from diseases. If you're on a bike and you're about to fall, freeze and do absolutely nothing. The bike will keep going straight by itself due to the speed.
If you find money in another country, can you keep it? In Japan, if you return lost money to the police, you're entitled to 10% of the money as a reward if the owner shows up. However, many people in Japan never accept the reward out of honesty. Instead, the owner of the money will often thank the finder with a house gift or a dessert. But in Germany, whoever finds the lost money is entitled to Finderlohn, a 5% reward on the first $500 found, and 3% on anything above that once the owner claims it. However, what if no one claims the money? In most countries, if the owner doesn't claim the money, the person who finds it gets to keep it. However, if neither the owner nor the finder claims it, countries like the United States have a law known as bona vacanter, which means the money is kept by the government, politicians, and the president.
The smartest kid in your class asks you for help because you did better in the last exam. Here's what you did. You explained to him that in the last exam, you tried your hardest to answer all the questions as quickly as possible. If you got completely stuck on a question, you randomly selected the answer and you wrote CG, complete guess. If you could only narrow down a question to 2 possible answers, you wrote EG, educated guess. After finally completing all the questions, you went back to the EGs and the CGs and subscribed to BigDanBaby.
If you're at the gym and a stranger challenges you to a weightlifting competition, don't do it. They're filming a video for YouTube and you'll end up looking ridiculous. If you're sleeping in a hotel and hear strange noises, place a glass on the doorknob before going to bed. If someone tries to open the door, the glass will fall and you'll wake up instantly. If you're getting attacked by a great white shark, don't punch it in the nose. Your punch will be too weak. Instead, try pushing the shark's nose downward. If you're in a hot air balloon and it starts dropping too low, throw out as much weight as you can and aim for a safe landing spot. If you're driving and it's raining a lot, never drive on the white lines on the road. The paint is more slippery than the cement, and you'll lose control of your car. If you go into a bathroom for disabled people without permission, but the police see you, drop to the floor and drool while you talk. They'll think you're disabled and they'll leave you alone. If you're being bullied at school, do not tell the teacher. Everyone will say you're a snitch, and they'll beat you up much harder. If you want to jump from a high place at the beach, don't jump in the water without checking the sea floor. There could be hidden rocks and you'll break your bones. If you see your friend with a very old woman, don't ask him if it's his mother or grandma. It could be his new rich girlfriend because your friend doesn't want to work. If you're in another country, never make signals with your hand. They might mean something very dangerous and you'll get thrown in jail. If you order a drink at a fast food restaurant, never order it with ice. It'll take up most of the cup and you'll pay more money for less soda. If you move house and notice that your son has a new imaginary friend, get out of there fast. It could be a spirit that lives in the house.
A venomous snake bit a man in the eye while he was taking a walk through the jungle. He hit his head as he reacted to the sharp pain, making his situation even worse. The venom causes bleeding and swelling in the affected area, and once it enters the bloodstream, it can make limbs die off quickly. They took him to the hospital with the snake still attached to his face, and even though the bite was directly in his eye, the snake's fangs didn't damage his optic nerve. He went through surgery to clean the wound, and a few weeks later, the man fully recovered with no lasting effects except a visible scar on his eye.
Never make these mistakes when traveling to other countries. If you ever travel to Taiwan, never pick up a red envelope from the ground. If you open it, you'll be forced to marry a ghost bride. Because in Taiwan, when a daughter dies, her parents prepare a red envelope filled with money on the street. If a man picks it up, he automatically becomes the husband of their dead daughter's ghost. If he refuses, he'll be haunted in his nightmares by a crying woman for the rest of his life. But in Japan, don't even think about walking while you eat or drink, because everyone will think you're rude. That's why the streets are always clean without trash. Lastly, in Chile, it's illegal to eat anything with your hands. Even if you eat a sandwich with your hands, everyone will look and insult you. Your whole class has to give a presentation. Is it better to go first or last? Your friend Big decides to go first. Luckily, the teacher gives him a good grade because there's no one to compare him to. On the other hand, Dan chooses to go last, and he's been nervous the entire class. Plus, he realized that in every presentation, they've already said several points he was going to mention. I recommend going second or third. That way, you can watch the first presenter and avoid the most common mistakes. A man was found dead on the beach without his wallet or any identification, but the police discovered a small piece of paper in his pocket with the words Tamam Shud, which means dead in Persian. The torn page matched a very rare book that was mysteriously found in a car parked nearby, and inside the book there was a phone number and a code for a riddle. The police kept the body and published the code in the newspapers, but no one ever successfully identified the body or solved the book's riddle. How to always win at Guess Who? Simple questions like does your character wear glasses, have a mustache, or is bald are useless, because each attribute always appears on 5 different characters. With a bit of luck, you'll figure out your character in 8 turns. But if you ask about 2 attributes at once, you'll guess it in just 5 turns. For example, does your character have glasses or a mustache? Does your character have blue eyes or a hat? Finally, don't confuse or with and, because you will lose the game. If you stick your tongue on a frozen metal pole, you'll probably get stuck. Look, when your warm, wet tongue touches the cold metal, your saliva freezes instantly. The metal pulls heat from your tongue faster than your body takes to calibrate the temperature, causing the saliva to freeze again and again. The only way to escape is by melting the ice with warm water. They put a statue through a scanner and discovered there was a skeleton inside. You see, a monk had died of starvation while meditating, and his body became mummified. Later, his organs were removed and replaced with sacred scrolls. They wrapped his body in paper mache and painted it to look like Buddha. Over the next several thousand years, the statue changed owners many times, and no one remembered there was a corpse inside, until a new buyer wanted to restore it and realized there were human bones inside. If you're broke and need money, grab a box with the Mr. Beast logo and put a rock inside it. Now, go to a large mall while a friend records you with their phone and ask if anyone wants the mystery box in exchange for $5. They'll think it's a Mr. Beast video and that the box has $1 million inside, but they'll only get a rock and you'll walk away with $5. If you repeat this 20 times a day, you'll learn over $5,000 a month.
How to survive a week-long blackout. Close the doors and put up barricades on the doors. There are many thieves who think it's the apocalypse and will want to attack you. Take the food out of the cupboard and put it in the fridge. Even if it doesn't work, it protects the food from bugs and germs. To light the house, use candles inside cans with holes. You'll have a mobile lamp and you can also cook on it. Prepare plastic buckets in all the windows to collect water when it rains. And if you have to go out, try to go armed and with supplies. If a criminal gang corners you, you could attack them or negotiate your freedom with food or water.
Inside the assassin's teapot, there are 2 chambers. One is filled with tea, and the other is filled with poison. If you cover the hole over the poison chamber, you'll block the airflow, preventing the poison from coming out, and only the tea will pour into the teapot. If you cover the hole over the tea chamber, only the poison will be able to pour into your enemy's cup. If you cover both holes, no liquid will come out of the teapot, and if you don't cover any hole, both liquids will mix as they pour out. If you're at a party and your drink tastes a bit salty, don't drink it. It's very likely it's been laced with drugs. If someone's attacking you from behind, scratch them. You'll get a sample of their DNA under your nail. If you get kidnapped in a car and forced to drive, crash the car accidentally. It's very likely they're not wearing their seatbelt. If you come face to face with a lion, maintain eye contact and slowly walk backward. This is the difference between a celebrity prison and a regular prison. First, comfort. Celebrities or criminals with a lot of money get luxury cells with a private bathroom, plasma TV, and a gym. Once even, a famous celebrity had a solid gold bed. Most regular inmates usually have small cells that are dirty and shared with other prisoners. Second, the food. Famous inmates can choose meals from a professional chef, but a regular prisoner is usually served food with little nutrition, or even expired food like frozen sandwiches or rotten mashed potato. Finally, the entertainment. Celebrities get access to fun activities like yoga, roller skating, or even dance classes. Meanwhile, a regular prison only has a basketball court and a couple of broken weights. How to be the cool kid in class. First, never do your homework. Ask a classmate for their math homework in exchange for history homework, and do the opposite with a different classmate. That way, you'll always have your homework done. Wear designer clothes even if they're fake, put on trendy ripped jeans, and learn unusual skills to impress the girl, like a fire trick or a backflip. When the teacher explains something nobody understands, raise your hand and ask. That way, you'll help your shy classmates who are scared to ask. Lastly, in group projects, ask the dumbest classmates for favors in exchange for tricks to get girls. Everyone will think you're cool and you'll have slaves doing all the work for you.
If you break a beehive, don't hide underwater. They'll wait for you to come up and sting you when you need to breathe. If a poisonous snake bites you, don't try to suck out the venom. You'll only spread it through the wound. If someone seems drunk but hasn't had any alcohol, ask them to smile. If their smile looks uneven, they're having a stroke. If you see square waves in the ocean, get away from the water. There's strong currents that can pull you under the sea. How to make sure your son never tells lies in his life. When he turns 4 years old, go to the supermarket and buy a cow tongue. At his birthday party, his fake lost brother will appear. As this will be the first time they see each other, your son will ask his name. The brother, who is actually a paid actor you hired, will say, "My name is Big." Suddenly, the brother will start choking. He'll spit blood and will collapse onto the floor. Now, you'll run towards the fake brother and yell, "Dan, why did you do it?" Your son will tell you, "Dan, I thought his name was Big." Now, you'll look at your son very seriously and say, "Son, our family suffers from a very rare genetic disease that causes our tongues to fall out if we lie, and since your brother lied about his fake name, he will probably die soon." Now, your son will be so traumatized that he will never lie again. Subscribe for more family advice. If the world were divided by gender, men and women would be separated at birth and the world would be split by a huge wall. The women's side would be very peaceful, though also a bit unstable. Everything would be neat and feel like living in the past, surrounded by nature, while the men's side would be the opposite. Chaos, violence, mess, fun, and big cities. Soon, curiosity would make men climb the wall. When they reached the women's side, they'd feel calm, but they'd be caught soon after. After being held for days, they would convince the women to climb the wall and show them where they came came from. The women would be amazed, not understanding such an advanced world yet so chaotic. They'd destroy the wall and find balance, becoming the world we live in today. This kid got punished for telling the truth. Thomas, a 7-year-old, wore his Superman shirt to school. He told everyone he wore it because his uncle was Superman. When the teacher heard that, she got really mad. She told him not to lie because Superman isn't real. But Thomas kept saying his uncle really was Superman. His classmates laughed at him and the teacher got so angry she sent him to detention, saying he was lying. They called his parents and his mom explained on the phone that the boy was telling the truth, but no one believed her. At the end of the day, the real Henry Cavill showed up, the actor who plays Superman, and he really was Thomas's uncle, just to pick him up from school and leave everyone speechless.
You start reading a book, but you realize you're going slower than a snail. Do this to read 5 times faster than normal. You need to stop sub-vocalizing. Don't repeat the words in your head as you read along. You can listen to music or use your finger while reading to help. But most importantly, try to see the words as images. Let your eyes and not your brain scan the word. Let's put it to the test. If you're going to watch a Real Madrid match but your seat is in the middle of the Barcelona fans, wear a Barca jersey and don't cheer for Real Madrid or you might get seriously beaten up. If there's a fight in your neighborhood, don't just stand there doing nothing. Record a video with your phone and upload it to YouTube to get rich. If you're walking in the middle of the night and run into an alien, don't tell anyone. Everyone will think you've gone crazy and have you locked up in an asylum. If your house is full of fire, touch the doorknob before opening any doors. If it's hot, there's fire behind it, so look for another way out. A man got stuck in the middle of a water slide. When he heard someone quickly sliding down the slide behind him, he started screaming as they slid down the slide. But the man couldn't move and ended up getting slammed hard in the back. The strong impact caused him to lose consciousness and pass out. He eventually woke up next to the pool, with serious injuries to his head, back, and shoulders. The man eventually recovered but sued the water park for being stupid. In 1990, a pilot was blown out of the cockpit mid-flight, with only his legs keeping him from being completely ejected. The plane's windshield had mysteriously shattered, causing a sudden pressure drop in the cabin. A flight attendant managed to grab the pilot's legs while the co-pilot tried to slow down the plane's speed. His head kept hitting the roof of the plane, and the crew assumed he was already dead. Even so, they held onto his body to prevent it from being sucked out and possibly damaging one of the engines. 20 minutes later, the plane managed to land, and no one knows how the pilot actually survived.
The world's strangest allergies. First, a girl with an allergy to water. Her condition stops her from getting into a pool, sweating, crying, or even showering without having a very strong reaction in her body. Second, a boy allergic to the sun. This kid can't go to the beach or go outside without feeling like his skin is burning. He can only wait until nightfall in order to go out and play. Third, an allergy to money. In 2010, a woman went shopping and came back with her whole body covered in itchy rashes. When she got home, she found that she was allergic to the ink used in paper bills, so now she only uses her credit card. Finally, a dog was rescued from the street, but it was losing a lot of fur and its skin was irritated. Then its allergy was discovered. It was allergic to human contact. You're going back home, but a homeless person tries to attack you. Do this to be able to trick him. When you cross paths with the homeless person, analyze his movements. He's probably drunk and you can escape easily. On the other hand, if he takes a rat out of his pocket, don't look disgusted. If he notices, he will order the rat to bite you. But what happens if he starts screaming at you for no reason? Take a sandwich from your backpack and throw it far away. There's a good chance he's very hungry and will go after the food. When he leaves, run without looking back and go into the closest store. Stay there for a few minutes. The homeless person will return, but after not seeing you, he will end up leaving. Now run home, tell your mom, and subscribe to BigDanBaby. Foods that were invented by accident. First, donuts. In the 17th century, a boy's mother wanted to make sweet bread, but she was in a big hurry. Because of that, when cooking them, the dough in the center remained raw, and she decided to cut out the middle. Unintentionally, she created the donut, now condensed milk. 100 years ago, during a war, scientists saw that the milk the soldiers drank spoiled very quickly due to the heat. While testing a method to make the milk last longer, he reached a result that the soldiers loved. Afterward, it started being sold in stores.
If you're playing video games but your controller's batteries die, put them in the freezer for 20 minutes. The cold boosts 100% of the energy and you'll be able to keep playing. If World War III eventually starts, learn to say "I surrender" in Arabic, Chinese, and Russian. If the enemies capture you, they'll understand what you're saying before shooting you. If you're abducted by aliens, tighten your belt on your pants as much as you can. When they examine your body, they'll think your pants are a part of your skin, and they won't do weird experiments on you. If you're kidnapped and they lock you in the trunk of a car, look for a plastic lever that's shiny. By law, all cars have a handle to open the trunk from the inside. A woman stepped into the street and began to dance like crazy. She danced for days without stopping, and other people started to join her. Over 50 people were possessed with the dancing fever. The dancers moved with such intensity that some actually collapsed from exhaustion. A few people even died from sudden heart attacks and severe stroke. The police were baffled, believing it was a curse or divine punishment. Now, they tried to cure the dancers by encouraging them to dance more, as they thought that it would expel the madness. But it only made the situation worse, and the dancers continued for a month before mysteriously they stopped dancing. A school bus skidded off the road during a heavy snowstorm, plunging over 10 meters down into a lake. It stopped halfway underwater with the front part already submerged. 6 passengers tried to escape through a broken window, but as they were escaping, the bus shifted. The change in balance caused it to sink completely, disappearing entirely with the driver and 15 students inside. Divers found the bus over 70 meters deep underwater, only managing to recover 5 bodies. The other 9 victims were never found, and now rest in the depths of the cursed lake. Abandoned in the cold, she crawled into a doghouse looking for warmth and ended up living there for 5 years. During that time, she learned to bark, growl, and walk on all fours, just like her canine companion. When they tried to rescue her, the girl had lost the ability to speak, and she ate like a dog. She licked herself and even breathed with her tongue out. The authorities had many difficulties rescuing her because the dogs protected her fiercely, but in the end, they distracted them using food as bait. They tried to reintegrate her into society, but she kept acting like a dog. If you give such a bad presentation that you think you're going to fail, end by saying it was an experiment about the most common mistakes students make. The teacher will think it was very realistic and give you a perfect grade. If you arrive late to class but don't have an excuse, say that a distant aunt has died. The teacher will feel sorry for you and let you in without asking questions. If you want your parents to stop looking at your phone, learn a second language and change the language on your phone. Even if your parents spy on you, they won't understand anything. If your rich friend's parents invite you to a fancy restaurant but you don't know what to order, tell the waiter to bring you the house specialty. Even if you don't like it, you'll sound very elegant.
A man pulled out a small gun and aimed it at the back of Abraham Lincoln's head, but he waited until there was a lot of noise in the theater before pulling the trigger. After shooting, he jumped down, breaking his leg as he landed, but even with his wound, he got away from the theater on a horse while he was being chased by hundreds of people. He stayed hidden for over 12 days until he was discovered and murdered on a farm.
A woman on her bike was crossing a drawbridge when suddenly it started moving to open. As the gap widened, she became trapped between the sections. She clung onto a street lamp while she called for help, but the bridge kept moving. One man rushed to grab her, but couldn't hold on because he was too overweight. Finally, her hand slipped and she fell into the hole to her death. The operator of the bridge later confessed that he hadn't checked the walkway before raising the bridge.
If you are in the bathroom at school but suddenly you hear some bullies bullying a kid, quickly get on the toilet to hide your legs. If the bullies see you, they will beat you up too. If your car engine doesn't start, ask a close friend to push the car. If all the wheels are moving properly, the car engine can be started. If you receive money from a stranger online but he tells you it was a mistake, don't give it back. It's a scam used by fraudsters to launder money. If a friend of yours is lying to you, ask him a lot of specific details about what they're explaining. If he starts scratching his head, he's lying.
If you touch a cactus, it's very likely that the spines will stick into your skin, and if you try to pull them out, they could break and remain inside your body because they're extremely fragile. Instead, apply a layer of glue over the area with the spine. Once it's dry, peel the glue off with a quick, gentle motion. This can pull out all the spines at once, preventing them from breaking inside your hand. I think I'm going to stop going to school after seeing this. This is one day. This is the time you spend at home. This is the time you spend with your friends. This is the time you spend playing video games. This is the time you spend walking. And this is the time you spend at school. 7.8 hours a day. And look how little you have left of the day. If you stop going to school on Fridays, you'll gain 2 extra hours a day. Don't go on Mondays either, and you'll gain 3 hours a day.
If you're lost while hiking in the mountains, look for some plants and take cover in a cave. If you make a fire, you won't freeze to death during the night. If you go to school in a dangerous neighborhood, put your backpack inside your t-shirt. Thieves will think you're really fat and they won't mess with you. If you're an idiot and you're vegan, don't go to a barbecue with your friends. You won't be able to eat anything, and they will laugh at you. If you're dying of thirst but come across dirty water, try to find a lot of bamboo sticks. If you filter the water through the holes in the canes, you'll get clean drinking water.
How to avoid getting called on in class when you don't know the answer. What you're not going to do is avoid eye contact with the teacher. If you stare out the window, they'll think you're not paying attention and call on you. Instead, look busy by writing something down or reading your notes. That way, the teacher will think you're engaged in the lesson, but that you're not currently available to answer.